Hi guys, welcome back for a new video. For all the subscribers already, I have good news. We bought a new camera, a professional camera with a microphone, because we noticed in the past that there were we had some feedback about that, so we made a small investment, so the camera angle and also the close-ups and the noise should be a lot better in the future. So I will hope you enjoy this first new video with better imaging. So today we're going to talk about a few pieces of my collection. You can already see them here. I mainly collect German headgear, and a big part of that is or are mountain caps, Bergmütze, as called in German. It was the cap for the German mountain trooper. And furthermore, I'll talk about the standardized M43 caps and listed overseas caps, and of course, as you can see here, armored caps, panzer caps in black color. So the mountain cap, actually this, or most of these here, is actually a standard German mountain cap. I might have a lot of them, but actually these caps are super hard to find. I've been collecting them all my life, and this is basically what I got. As I told before, a mountain cap is worn by a mountain trooper, and this is the only mannequin in my collection actually, besides the British one that you can see in the other videos. And this is one of my first mannequins I had for many years. Of course, it's also mountain trooper with the Edelweiss on the sleeve, rare tunic with the Norvik shield on the sleeve as well. Original mountain troop trousers, but of course the theme of this video is also the mountain cap. So here's one that we have on his head as well. Beautiful example, nearly mint condition. So coming back here to the mountain caps, we have different kinds of caps, different colors, but they all seem to have a little bit of the same things. Typical for these caps are, of course, the walnut buttons in the front. These are made from wood or walnut, as some people would say. It's a typical feature for a mountain cap. And then, of course, you have the T-shaped national emblem on the front, most of the times hand applied. Some examples, later examples, you can also see them being machine applied. Then most of these caps also have ventilation holes on the side, but you will see here as well, I have also examples with 2 holes, and I've seen examples on pictures as well with 3 holes. So it depends a little bit on the manufacturer of the caps. So if you look at the interior, you see I always use these head guards, so they have a nice shape. The interior is also very typical. Most of these caps have a leather sweatband or a semi-sweatband, so where it stops in the half. And they most of them have a cotton liner, a brown color like this one, or some have, this is also a brown one, I don't know, also a brown one. Or they have this typical gray-blue inside, as this example actually. And then of course it's a mountain cap, so it has a Edelweiss on the side. The Edelweiss is a flower that grows only in the Alps of Austria, Germany, Switzerland, and it's a kind of flower that only grows on top of the highest mountains. I've seen them on my own in Switzerland last year. That was very high, and it's the symbol of the mountain troopers, and that's why they wear this on the cap, and as well, as you saw before, on the uniform as well. So let's see a little bit of the different caps here. So we already saw this one here. This one is stated 39, and the 39 one has an early eagle as well. I will explain the eagles later. And then this would be I have to be careful. This is a 1940 dated one. You can see the date right there, 1940. And this one already has the later 40s style eagle. Then of course there are officer caps in between. So here is one. This would be a later officer one. already has the silver piping added on the top, the Edelweiss on the back, and the T-shaped eagle on the front. This is an officer one. This is an enlisted example where they really had added the silver trestle with thread on the sides. This must have been a promotion during the war where he really upgraded this cap. Beautiful inside, full sweatband, faded maker mark. This is also a funny example. This one has not a T-shaped eagle, but actually it's a single Army eagle and a coquard, and they made it look like a T-shape, which you often see as well. I've had it on many caps, so they created this T-shape with two pieces insignias. This is a tailor-made cap with a very special sweatband with pierced holes in the side, officer example. And then I have one, oh here it is. So this is a nice officer cap. Actually the first officer caps didn't have the walnut buttons as the other ones. They had silver buttons and no piping. So the piping was something that was added in later stages of the war, and like you see here, here, and here. So this is an early officer cap, and then it has a nice set of bullion insignia on the front. Probably replaced the T-eagle, as the officer might have liked this a bit more. This is one of the oldest caps I have in my collection. I have it for more than 20 years, I think. Shows a typical mountain troop liner inside, typical blue liner as I explained before, and the full sweatband, nicely worn. Gonna put it back in the proper way. And then of course a lot of these caps already are officer caps are tailor-made pieces. So this is a typical tailor-made mountain cap, an officer example. This one has a flat wire officer T-eagle on the front, and it's actually made in, I think it used to be like gray, but it has been worn, heavily worn in the sun. That's why the gray faded a lot, and it's really a sun faded cap. Actually nicely worn. And then the inside used to have a sweatband, but it's totally worn off in typical silk officer quality material. But this is a nice worn officer cap. So these are the mountain caps. So the mountain caps, I think, I'm sure they exist from about 1936 until 1942. They were made and issued and worn by the German mountain troopers. And then afterwards, other caps started to appear, and we'll move on to that a little bit later. Let me see here. Okay, I'll just grab some of the insignias that we can see on these caps. I'll make a bit of room first, so you can all see it. I need this one for later. Mountain caps. Bum, bum. Okay, so the insignias of the mountain caps. As I explained before, these are T-shaped insignias, and you have them in all colors and stuff like that, but I'll try to explain a little bit more of them right away. Let me grab everything. So it's actually the same as the breast eagles. The first type, which I would refer to as the M33, would be the first date of the Third Reich, is actually this gray T-shaped eagle. It's a very, very early eagle, extremely hard to find in unissued condition, and that would be the first eagle you would see on the mountain cap, but then like this, and that would be a very early mountain cap. So this is the first pattern eagle. Then we have the second pattern right over here, which is a green one. I would believe this was issued in 1936-37, and the eagle itself is still white from color with the dark green backing. Then later on, they made the eagle a bit grayer. So this is the white eagle, gray eagle. This is the same example, a cut-off example, same eagle here. This has been cut off of a cap. It's a nice piece from my collection. So this is the third pattern eagle. Then I forgot actually to put just a second. I'll see in my stock if I can find something. Do I still have one? Oh yes, there we go. So this would be the fourth and last pattern, T-Eagle. So this would be an M40 or M41 type, which has the pale green backing, and of course, yeah, you can see all four here on a row. Then this is a very special strip. The strip used to be a lot longer, but I sold some examples already of it, and I'm keeping this. This is then the officer flat wire M38, so the same eagle as this one, but then made for officers. So you can see the flat wire silver thread on these, extremely rare. It's actually the same one that has been used for this cap. And then, of course, afterwards, they made the M43 eagle, which replaced the T-shaped eagle, and also the M43 officer eagle with flat wire, and also a different variation is the M43 eagle with flat wire, but then with a dark green backing. So they made a bit of everything. And here's another T-eagle, but this would be a eagle for the armored or panzer troops in black. So another different one. And this is an interesting cut-off example from the shop. So here they didn't use any of the insignias, but they used a two-piece insignia, like sometimes you see on the mountain caps or something else as well. They used a normal side cap eagle and a coquard and matched it together. And then this is a very special one I have in my collection for quite some time. Came from an Austrian mountain trooper who was a medical officer. I had the whole grouping, but apparently I just kept this eagle for my collection. It's a T-shaped eagle, totally hand embroidered, so a tailor-made piece for an officer cap. So it would be something that you would see would go like that. Then they would upgrade their cap with something more officer-like, like this. So extremely rare, something for my private collection. And then, of course, we have the insignia you will find on the mountain caps. So the Edelweiss, like I said before, is the mountain trooper symbol. It's an original Edelweiss, and you have these in different kind of materials. They go from Kupal, from the really early pieces. Then you have aluminum. You have zinc ones like this one, and you also have steel ones. Some of them still has a label here. Some of them show maker marks on the back. This one does not have any, and some even show a date like 41 or 42. And I used to collect these a long time ago, sold the collection, of course, also a long time ago. And there are many different variations, just like you have variations of the German combat badges. You have a lot of variations of these Edelweiss badges as well. Be careful that you don't buy a post-war. So this is a post-war Edelweiss badge, because of course until today the German mountain troopers still use the Edelweiss as their symbol. This is a post-war badge, and you can easily recognize it by the ending. World War II badge has a straight tip, and the post-war one has a folded tip in the end. And then, certainly not impossible, you can also find the mountain caps with the Jäger badge. The Jäger is light infantry. It's possible that some of these, that you find a mountain cap having a Jäger badge as well. Again, same as the Edelweiss, these exist in many different materials. This is a nice late war example, still of the silver finish present. So these are a bit of the emblems we can find. Of course, there are many more variants, officer variants, etc. But this is basically the most things you need to know. So moving on, similar with the mountain caps, the normal army didn't wear a visored cap. Oh, something I have to add, the visor of the mountain caps is a short visor, while later on the visor became longer, so it's typical for mountain caps. But like I was saying, only the mountain troopers wore these kind of caps, while the normal infantry and other army units wore the standardized M34 side cap. This is an officer example. At the moment I don't have an enlisted one, but you get the picture. An officer one has the silver dress, the silver one does not have it. So both of these had their caps. And then this cap became an M42 cap in 1942, which is, this is an officer example, M42, and enlisted example, M42. And these M42 caps were only produced for 1 year, being of course 1942. And you can already see it has actually a bit of the design of a mountain cap, but then just without the visor added to it. And of course, a lot of these Germans, I honestly also think these are the most ugly caps that they ever produced during the war. Very inconvenient as well. And then you will see that Germans actually added visors, like here. They added visors on these M42 caps, looking like this. So this is actually an M42 cap where they added a short bill, probably for a mountain trooper. And you can see now it actually looks just the same as a mountain cap, but it's actually an M42 converted with a bill, because of course people who wore this knew the existence of these caps, and they liked, of course, that it had a visor as well for the sun and etc. So nice worn cap, and of course, as I mentioned, dated 1942. Let me see if there's a date in this one. This one is 1943. It's actually not very rare to find. Must have been made in the beginning of 1943, just before they started producing the M43 caps. And this one, does it have anything inside? It has a maker mark, but no date inside. So an officer example with officer insignia, separated insignia, and then this one, of course, a T-shaped eagle. So after the M42 cap, the most famous cap, the cap you all know, saw its existence, and that is, of course, the German M43 cap. So let me get the inside out. So the German M43 cap is actually the standard German cap we all see on the movies and in the late war periods in the prisoner of war camps. Was actually the highly produced cap for all branches of the German army, and even the mountain troopers started to wear these caps, because the mountain cap, as we just saw, stopped to exist in 1942 and was replaced by also the standard German field cap. But then what they still did, this is also a standard German field cap, an officer example with the tresse. They still added the edelweiss. So it's not a mountain cap anymore, it's an M43 cap with the edelweiss for mountain troopers. So these caps you see often. This is a mint example I found in the States about 10 years ago. Came out of a locker from a US veteran, so it was never in a collection before. And these caps intend to have the M43 cap insignia, so the trapezoid cap insignia, but it's still possible, and this is starting to get really interesting. They actually used sometimes the T-shaped insignia of the mountain caps or the M42 caps, and they folded it into a trapezoid, looking like a trapezoid insignia, but just like that. And this was just finishing their old stocks. So there must have been thousands and thousands of these eagles produced. So of course Germans didn't throw anything away. So they just used this insignia to create these caps, folded them into this shape. So why this shape? Of course, it's much easier to apply. You just have to do 4 straight stitches, while if applying a T-eagle, you had to go around the eagle and the corners, and it would take a lot more time. So this is much more efficient to apply on the caps. Of course, for these M43 caps, the application of the emblems is always in machine stitching, while on the mountain caps you can still see hand-applied eagles as well as machine applied. But for the M43 caps, if you want a textbook piece, it needs to be machine applied. And if you look a bit closer here, you always want it to have the same type of thread as the construction of the cap. And even here you can see that the stop thread here has been sewn under the thread of the construction of the cap. So it's Very nice detail here. So they would first apply the eagle on the front, and then they would finish the cap and the liner. This one has a nice big cap, size 60, very hard to find. Big RBN number. So the RBN number is something they created in 1943. Because before that they would use a stamp of the factory. As we know, they created these numbers so the Allies wouldn't know where the factories are, and that's why they have this code. An interesting thing here is an M43 cap, a Panzer one, a black one, just the same as this one, and it has here, as you can see, same manufacturing stamp than this one, but another size 65. So actually it's the same cap, but made in black, of course, for the armored troops. And here we see it as well. So this is also a standard black M43 cap for the armored troops. It has an added tresse on top, so it's not made as an officer cap, but it was added for someone who got promotion. And also here we can see they used a T-shaped eagle, folded in trapezoid, also a finishing of stock of actually the eagles I showed you before. So same eagle as here, and then folded into a trapezoid, while here it's already a trapezoid made black eagle. And then of course these are the caps you see the most. It is the Luftwaffe M43 cap. You can still find many of these until today. And these had, you can mostly see them in two-piece insignias. Sometimes the Luftwaffe eagle is hand-applied, like here, hand-applied Luftwaffe eagle, and then the cocarde is machine applied on top of the eagle itself. So you know it's original applied, of course. And yes, just a nice cap, lightly worn. Always make sure for any of the machine applied caps that there's no, you don't see any stitches coming through the lining, because then it would be reapplied. Many of these caps were used in prisoner of war camps, and they were forced to take off the insignias there. So a lot of these caps were once on the market without the insignia, and a lot of people restore them, which is, of course, there's nothing wrong with restoring a cap, but if you buy a restored cap, of course, it's worth not as much as an untouched cap with a original applied eagle like that. So again, here you won't see any stitching marks on the back of the cap. These caps are heavily faked and actually very hard to find original ones in this condition. Today a cap like this will go easily over €1,000, especially in this condition. There are a few tricks, of course, to recognize how they are original. One of these would be, it's difficult, yeah, okay. I don't know if you can hear it. I will put it to my microphone a little bit more. But under the lining here is actually a kind of a paper band. They used to stitch on the liner and the interior material, so it wouldn't stretch too much. And these these original caps, you can still feel that, and it's still, I don't know the typical word in English. It makes this kind of noise. I hope you can hear it. So that's for me always a good sign, of course, that it's an original cap. The shape as well. Original caps, they always end like a drip. Like a drip. Fake caps sometimes have round bottoms. You see here as well. You can see the drip here, like this kind of shape. This one is extremely dripped. So that's that. And what we have here is another officer M43 cap. So actually made as an officer cap in the factory, not an upgraded example. And again, a trapezoid insignia, a T-shaped eagle folded in a trapezoid. Officer example with this tresse really applied in the factory. And then we can see already officer quality on the inside with a nicely added piece of cloth here. And a really nice inside compared to a standard cap. You can see the quality. This is officer quality, soldier quality, a little bit more size mark as well. So this is a nice officer M43 cap. So I think that is everything I wanted to tell you about these caps today. I hope you learned a little bit more about them. It's been a passion for me for a long time. Many of these caps are from my own collection. A few bits and pieces you might recognize from the website, like this one. This one was just sold, but I still had it for my video. So some of these are for sale, of course, not the mountain caps, but if you do have a mountain cap you would like to sell, I'm very interested to add it to my own collection, of course, so you can always contact me. Or if you have any special T-shaped insignias that I don't have, I'm your man to call, of course. So again, I would like to thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions about the stuff here, please feel free to contact me. Don't ask me if the mountain caps are for sale, please, because they are not for sale. And don't forget to subscribe on the channel if you haven't already done so. Like this, we will reach more and more people in the world to see our videos. So thanks again, and I'll see you for the next video very soon.